Thing to report on closed session. Karen, would you lead this Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Everybody rise, put your hand over your heart, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Director Malloy?
Here.
Director Mishler?
Here.
Director Dixon?
Here.
Director Magner?
Here.
Chairman Kelly?
Here. Amendments to the agenda? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Presentations, please.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right. Good evening, Chairman Kelly, Board of Directors, community members. My name is Macy Trueblood, and I am the Recreation Supervisor for the district. I will be presenting the district highlights tonight. So to start, I'd like to formally announce our aquatic center is back and open after a 2.5-month closure. So we are happy to be back and running to the public for everyone who comes and swims. We had our grand reopening on March 23rd. We had about 130 participants come and swim that afternoon. It was a great day celebrating the completion of the project as well as our 50th anniversary. Coming up this spring, we actually have a few new programs. We started after school at the pool, which is Fridays from 2:30 to 5:30. This program is geared towards youth and teens to get them out, get them exercising and active after school, enhancing those swim skills, and just having fun making new friends. We also have an inner tube water polo program, same skills as water polo, but no treading. You're sitting, laying back, relaxing in an inner tube. There's some arm work that is required, but the same game of water polo, just in an inner tube. We do have drop-in games on Saturdays as well as classes for youth. For our camps and classes division, our summer camp registration is open. This is our 10-week Camp Fantastic summer camp. They have weekly field trips, pool visits, crafts, and just tons of fun this summer. So if you're looking to register, all you parents out there, registration is open. We are also looking for camp counselors. We are hiring, so any teens looking for a summer job, we are hiring, so visit our website for the application. We're also looking for contract instructors, so those instructors that might teach some fun new programs. We're looking to expand our programming to the public. So contact us. You can visit us on the website or you can call us at 482-1996. Coming up this June, we have our National Trails Day. As many of you guys know, our trails were burned by the Hill Fire. So we are looking for tons of volunteers to come out, help restore our trails to what they were before this fire. We'll also have a nature talk on our local birds, things that you might see on our trails. And then we do have a nature fact that we're doing. April 6th is California Poppy Day. So check our social media for all of those cool nature facts. For our sports division, our adult softball and kickball summer league registration starts later this month. It goes through May 22nd. Make sure you sign up early to avoid the late fees, as well as get a preferred spot for your team. Currently, our adult basketball league runs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. We are filled with 8 teams, and our summer registration is coming online soon, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. In our senior division, we have our movie lunch tomorrow. They are going to be showing Mamma Mia. Sorry if that song gets stuck in your head. It's already stuck in mine. Lunch will be served at noon, and the free movie starts at 1. So if you haven't reserved your lunch spot, it's okay. Join us for the movie at 1. Coming up on the 13th, we have our biannual rummage sale. This is the perfect time. It's spring cleaning. Clean out your garage. we still have spots available, so go over to the Senior Center and register for your spot. This is a huge event. And then also upcoming Tuesday the 16th, we have our Spring Fling Dance from 12:30 to 2:30. It's free admission. We'll have music by the seniors of note and some light refreshments. In the next couple months, we will have several big excursions for our seniors. We have a Yosemite excursion as well as a British landscape excursion. You can call our senior for more information about that. Their number is 805-482-1996. And so you can register through them for those excursions. They also have a discussion on grief and healing that's upcoming on Tuesday the 9th from 1 p.m. at the Senior Center. Again, call them and they can give you more information about that. For our special events, this month is Easter, so we have our huge Easter extravaganza at the community center. This will be Saturday, April 20th from 10 to 2. As always, we will have our large Easter egg hunt with more than 20,000 eggs. We'll have craft vendors, and then we will have visits with the Easter Bunny and what's it called? Petting zoo as well. So make sure you guys save the date for Saturday, April 20th for Easter extravaganza. And then something we are doing new this year is a food truck festival on Saturday, May 25th. For all of you foodies out there, if you have a favorite food truck or if you know someone who has a food truck, send them our way. We still have spots available for this food truck fest. You can view our application online, www.pvrpd.org. Okay, coming up in August, we have our 5th annual Party for the Parks. For those of you who know, this fundraiser is getting bigger every year. We are so thankful that the community supports our foundation and can come out with to this fundraiser, support us, and help build our programming and our facilities. So this fundraiser will be Saturday, August 17th at Camarillo Grove Park. The tickets are on sale now, so make sure that you buy your ticket and get it early before they sell out. For our Parks Department, our Nancy Bush Playground, if you guys haven't seen, is beautiful. They finished construction, so all of you that have kids or grandkids or adults, go out, check it out, and play on the playground. Our crew also repainted the restrooms, and we have 2 new reservable picnic areas at that park. So check it out, visit it. I promise it's going to be a fun time. We also have 2 new Freedom baseball fields coming online soon. Even though there were some rain delays, the project is still moving along nicely. They're actually installing the backstops and the fence posts, and the project now is aiming for about late June. But the light poles are up and all of the underground utilities are in. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we had our aquatic center renovation done. They resurfaced the pool with fiberglass, and they restructured the slide as well as painted the walls, and our lifeguards painted the locker room. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the pool, please stop by and check out what they did. For our district spotlight, we're doing something a little differently. We are focusing on our marketing. So you guys know we have our marketing specialist. She's been putting in a lot of work and focusing on marketing our programs and marketing the district. As of this month, we are over 3,000 Facebook likes. We're up about 500 likes from last year, which is huge. We have about 10,300 email subscribers. And for those of you who don't know marketing, our e-blast, you want to try and aim to get 15% open rate. We have about a little over a 20% open rate, which is huge. So our marketing is doing really well, and we're really starting to see the progress from what she's been doing. We also do bi-weekly press releases to get our programs and all of our information out to the public, and it's really starting to show. Next Wednesday is a huge day, so keep that in mind. April 10th. We have our activity guide that is going to be hitting homes, as well as registration for summer. We'll have our summer concert series highlighted in there, fun free events in July, as well as a new Mayor of Camarillo Dog Parks campaign. So that is all starting next Wednesday on the 10th. We are also, if you guys remember, we did crowdsourcing for our summer concert series to get the genre of what people wanted to hear this summer. We're also doing the same thing for our Christmas parade. So for those of you who have an idea of what you want to see for the Christmas parade, we are doing crowdsourcing for that. So give us your suggestions on Facebook. You have until next Wednesday, April 10th, to give us your suggestions. And also on next Wednesday, we will be having our new website come live. So that is also huge for our district. Again, coming next Wednesday. Thank you. At this time, I'd also like to introduce Sarah Knickel. She is our new rec specialist under sports and senior services.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and look forward to working with the district.
Pleasant Valley Swim Team.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Tim Hedrick. He is the head coach and general manager for Pleasant Valley Swim Team.
Good evening, Director Kelly, members of the board. It's a pleasure to see you again this year. The last time I was here was in July, which was right near the end of our fiscal year end. So apologies up front that this presentation is going to look very similar to what you saw back in July. I'm the head coach, general manager, and CEO of the Pleasant Valley Swim Team. I've been there for the last 12 years. In 2018, the Pleasant Valley Swim Team celebrated its 50th year in existence. A quick overview of where we're headed here very quickly. I don't want to waste a lot of your time. Our membership is holding at just above 200 members. That's in the area of 190 kids and 15, 16 adult masters swimmers. 82% of the members at PVAC are Camarillo residents, and that's about 60 kids. We tend to hover right in that 60 range, and those are development level swimmers. They typically range in age from 7 to about 11 or 12. Many of them come directly out of Your Lessons program. The other members are at Adolfo Camarillo High School. That's where we have the older swimmers, the more competitive swimmers, and we train them there. And that's a collection of competitive swimmers as well as some water polo players that we are conditioning for both sports. Last year, when the Moore Park swim team went under, we took in several of their members, onboarded them into our Pleasant Valley Swim Team family. Also, when the Newberry Park High School pool was offline for the bulk of the year last year for resurfacing, we trained a lot of their swimmers during the high school swim season, so they had an opportunity to continue to train and compete. Our two-pool resource requirements are becoming more stable. We have consistent time blocks at both pools. We've achieved kind of a harmony in the aquatics community with the water polo teams in the area. So everything's working out very nicely there. We have good time at the indoor pool, work well with Macy and the programming that's there. And again, we're trying to be good citizens all the way around. In December of 2017, and I'll note again, in December of 2018, the indoor pool, your indoor pool, was the only one that was available in the county for a number of days. And it provided an amazing resource for everybody in the aquatics community, both water polo and swimming. And we did our best to make the resource that we had allotted available to others as well. For us, from a financial basis, we try to keep our costs low and our membership dues low, and we do that mainly through the income derived from our meets that we host. And we host them at the outdoor Camarillo High School pool simply because it's a bigger venue, and we can host bigger meets, and they're still trending upward, meaning more swimmers and more income for the swim club. You've seen this chart before. This is during my tenure here with the swim team, and again, we're holding steady at right around 200 members. Our income and expenses, the top two bars, the yellow and the red, represent the total revenue and total expense. And as you can see, it continues to trend upward, and a lot of that is due to the swim meet income that we have. The bottom two lines represent the meet income versus the meet expense. So we're doing what we can to hold down the meet expense while we improve the meet income, which is a kind of a juggling act, as you might guess. For 2019, our membership is up right now, 8 members. We are a resource to a local water polo club. They like what we're doing with their water polo players, and there are more that are going to be coming. The message there is that that will help stabilize our income on the membership due size and give us an opportunity to further utilize the outdoor pool at Camarillo High School with more members, helping to increase our stability on a dues standpoint. We did get recently 4 swimmers from the YMCA, which we don't like doing. We like having those swimmers there at the Y, but they were ready to move up into something a little bit more competitive, and we provided a path for them for that. And I'm still working on gaining us as a resource to the entire high school community, mostly Camarillo High School, since we're there on campus for a lot of the older kids. The benefit of the 2-pool resource that I mentioned a couple slides ago, the big one is that when we have an outage at one pool, we can typically pile in at the other pool. And as you know, the PVAC renovation gave us a challenge to consolidate our resources for almost 3 full months, which led to a small constraint in early March when the Camarillo High School pool went down due to a pump failure. But that's one of the challenges of being tied into a single pool. So we were able to use the 2-pool resources interchangeably this time when PVAC was down for the benefit of everybody. And again, we weathered fires for the 2nd winter in a row, and a lot of it thanks to Macy for just trying to accommodate us and everybody else that was looking for pool time. She did an outstanding job coordinating all of the dozens of people and resources that were looking for anything that she could give them. And you've seen that. We're still increasing our meet. I made a reference in earlier emails back and forth with staff. They were asking about some of our expenses related to equipment. And we are putting money into things that will benefit the entire community at Camarillo High School, meaning touch pads for the timing system, starting wedges for the blocks, that is going to increase the interest in swimming meets at that pool. That will be one of the only pools in the county, if the only pool in the county, that has these starting wedges, which makes it a very attractive venue then for hosting meets, putting us above several of the other local pools. So that was a well thought out purchase by our board of directors, and it took us a year of fundraising to get that in place. Our next wave, our current next wave, is really in the 13 and under range. We have kids that are 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, and 13-year-olds that are breaking team records and doing well. So you will meet them in the coming years, I promise. We appreciate and we promote the partnership between PVRPD and Pleasant Valley Swim Team. I don't know the exact numbers, and maybe Macy can help me out there. How many on your staff are PV or former PVST swimmers?
About 4 or 5.
That's all for now? Including our college students and...
Yeah, you're upwards of like 10.
Okay, not bad. Yeah, so we continue to promote giving back, not only as swimmers, but back to the community, and working with Macy and the indoor staff. PVRPD and the indoor pool is our best resource for incoming new swimmers. That's development level swimmers. Your lessons program is ideal, and our entry level swim team programming that we have at the indoor pool follows directly beyond your level 6 lessons level. And we've noted that there's a greater percentage of tryouts for our team that are coming in from the lessons program. When I first became the head coach of the team, that was not the case. We had most of those inquiries coming from community members and backyard swimmers, and that's definitely shifted over the last 12 years. So again, credit where credit's due, that lessons program's working. People making waves. You saw this last year. I updated for Jason Liu, who's now in college at Pomona Pitzer. He was our high school male swimmer of the year for the county last year. This year in college, he was an NCAA honorable mention All-American, and he was conference champion, which was a great next step for him. And I'll note that he also is on staff or summer staff at the indoor pool, teaching lessons to the kids. Carolina DeZekiel, she's now a sophomore at Camarillo High School. Again, she went to the state meet. She was undefeated in league swims. And again, she's doing it again this year as a sophomore for the high school team. And Anna Behan is an 8th grader, going to be at Camarillo High School next year, breaking team records. Her name's all over our record book, and she continues to improve. And there will be other ones that I'll introduce you to in the coming years. That's it.
Question?
No, I just want to say thank you again for all your hard work and dedication and working within the community for the benefit of the community. And that's what makes us work, is the teamwork and the partnership that we have. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Your 11th year, that's pretty amazing, doing the level of things you do, because it's not just your time and your energy, it's leadership, it's setting an example, it's organization. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of organization, what you're talking about. I mean, I'm super impressed, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll just echo what Director Mishler said, and thank you very much. We've been watching you go through when Camarillo High School opened their pool and all the growing pains that went with that, and it looks like it's finally smoothed out and working for you.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for participating as much as you do in youth sports. Can never get enough of people like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we got the Roadrunners up next.
Chairman Kelly, members of the board, tonight I'd like to introduce Brian Bosley, the president of the Freedom Park Roadrunners remote control track, and he'll be doing his annual update presentation.
Thank you, board. My name is Brian Bosley, as you heard. I'm the returning president for the second year. Mostly, I didn't actually produce the slide this year. It's pretty much the same thing as we were doing last year. A few of the changes, I'm trying to fix the organization a little bit while maintaining the attendance rates and maybe looking into more of the me personally, I look at more of the racing side, and I've noticed that the park is actually used by a lot of people that don't race, and never really saw them before until I was president. And this forthcoming year will be more trying to introduce them into using the track more often and getting more use out of it. There's some organizational changes. We've basically been a club the entire time. We're looking at being a nonprofit organization, so an actual corporation. So a few changes. Wanted to keep it relatively short and basically open it up to questions.
Mike?
No, thank you again. I go by there from time to time, and I always enjoy seeing you guys. There's always people around there, of course, working on their stuff and wires and stuff going all over the place and everything. So it's good to see it being used by the community. Thank you.
Brian, are you working with staff regarding some of the issues that you noted on your report?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Lanny's been more than helpful for me.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right, okay, and thank you. Coming from the racing side, it makes it a little different than the recreational part. So glad you're looking at that, so thank you.
My only question's on your expenses. It looks like you had a really big on-road expense. I imagine you repaved your surface. Is that what that was? Or?
That's correct. It was roughly $18,000.
Yeah.
Asphalt.
Yeah, I noticed it looks really nice, so that's why. All right. Great. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really fun to see guys of all ages out there having a good time, enjoying themselves, and it's neat.
No, I don't have any questions, except are you guys going to be in the Christmas parade again this year?
I'm not generally much of a PR type of person, but if it's important to the district, then yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just have one question to be updated on. How is it out there in regard to congestion and craziness and so forth when you guys are out there like on a weekend?
It's really not too bad. We normally have maybe 60 to 70 people total, so you'd be looking at a few people per easy up. We're looking maybe about 30 feet off of the track each time, so maybe 60 cars in the parking lot, but congestion-wise, it's manageable.
I'm kind of asking about like when other groups are out there and so forth.
We've never had a hard time being close to the track, and we've never had a hard time with parking.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
This is the time for public comment. In accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3, the Board reserves this time for to hear from the public. If you'd like to speak about an item on the agenda, we would prefer you complete a speaker card, give it to the clerk of the Board, and wait until it comes up. If you would like to make comments about other areas not on this agenda in accordance with California law, we will listen, note them, bring them back at a later date for discussion. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the Board. First person I have is Rosa Castro, who wants to speak on item number 1. She's not here? Next, I have Tom Tabor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, directors, members of the board. My name is Tom Tiber. I'm a 10-year resident of Camarillo. I am the former president of the Camarillo Democratic Club. I am a former chairman of the Ventura County Democratic Party. I have worked in youth sports for over 20 years for such organizations as the YMCA and Pony Baseball. I have been a coach, a referee, an umpire, camp counselor, camp director. I'm here today to support the Pleasant Valley workers in their fight for a fair contract, one that respects an important work that they do for our community, and then one protects their basic worker protections. It is essential to the youth and the seniors of our community that we have efficient, well-run parks, recreation department, and facilities. Youth who grow up without safe, clean, and well-maintained parks will be growing up without essential building blocks of adulthood. Seniors will be deprived of essential services. It is impossible to have well-run operation without the employees who are satisfied and feel safe in their work. When I heard that the at-will status is one of the sticking blocks on the bargaining sessions, I was shocked. I've worked in different jurisdictions across Ventura and Los Angeles counties. I've been a member of 2 unions. In my youth, I was a member of the Screen Actors Guild. In my professional career, I was a member of the Los Angeles County Public Defenders Association. As a member of the Public Defenders Association, I was on the executive board. I was responsible for direct communication and negotiation with the public defender himself. I've never seen a jurisdiction holding up bargaining like this. The reason I've seen this is because this is a blatant anti-worker attempt to rip apart the union. The last board meeting, I understand several board meetings members said they didn't understand why the workers didn't want to agree to this massive change in basic protections. It makes me think that either the board doesn't understand the basics of negotiation with the labor organization, or it simply doesn't care. If the board doesn't care about its workers, then it doesn't care about our parks or the residents who rely on the vital services of the Pleasant Valley workers and providers. Moreover, as a lawyer, and I think you probably know this better than I do, the more this drags out, the more money from the Parks and Recs budget goes to lawyers and instead of going to the recreational services. As Ventura County residents, we are lucky to live in such a beautiful location, nestled between clean oceans and beautiful mountains. Just last year or the year before, we were named the most beautiful county in America. Our parks and recreation facilities are clean, well-kept.
Mr. Tibor, how much more time do you need? Because you're out of time.
It says 3 minutes.
Is 3 minutes up?
Yes, 3 minutes is up.
Oh.
If you've got 15 more seconds, you can go, but if it's more than that, I'm going to have to get to the other speakers.
One last sentence.
All right.
The anti-worker attack puts our community in jeopardy, and I'm calling on the board to act as a good employer and take the at-will status proposal off the table of negotiations can move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have B. Herrera next.
Okay, I got to watch the clock here. Good evening, Board Chair Kelly, Vice Chair Magner, and directors and fellow community audience. My name is B. Herrera, and I'm a community college counselor at Ventura College. I understand that the role that you have as a board, I understand that very well, because I myself is also a board member of the Oxnard Union High School District Board, so I'm glad to hear all the high school partnerships that we have together. I deeply understand that you're performing your due diligence during these negotiations, and I deeply respect your role in the process. It's a very important one. But tonight I'm here to speak in support of all the union members employed by the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District. As an active union member myself in my teachers union, AFT Local 1828, here in Camarillo, we have our office on Camarillo Springs, I believe that the collective bargaining process needs to be honored and conclude with a mutually agreed upon TA by both parties. The ones that I have been informed you had one at the table. Offering employees fair wages, good working conditions, and equitable workloads is essential. Having these essentials allows the district to be able to recruit and retain qualified employees, dedicated employees that can provide consistent and quality services to the residents of this community. The residents of this community deserve the best services, and I think you would agree with that. And it starts by having the best qualified, dedicated employees on the payroll. Further, having an employee with an at-will status will create an environment of instability within the staffing structure and also create fear among the employees, because at-will employees can be let go at any point for no reason. Having due process is a fundamental worker protection, so I hope you will honor what was negotiated at the table and not strip away job protections from employees. Our stripping away protections, if you do that, is a red flag to all union workers in this community that we all love and cherish. Both the workers and the community will suffer as a result. Please support your workers by settling this agreement as negotiated at the table without the at-will status stipulation. I understand you have a tough job. I understand all of the issues that are pressing at the table. I understand that. We have negotiate with unions as well as a board member. We understand this, but I think you can accomplish this by coming to the table and moving forward. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera. Jeremy Goldberg is next.
Good Good evening, Mr. Chair, directors, Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District staff. My name is Jeremy Goldberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Coast Labor Council. Central Coast Labor Council is a collaboration of labor unions representing over 70,000 union members. I've also lived in Camarillo for about 4 years now. My family and I enjoy the parks on a daily basis, and I plan on continuing to use them. My 15-month-old daughter was one of the first kids to hop in the pool on Saturday the 23rd, and so we really genuinely enjoy the opportunity to continue to use the facilities. One of my Labor Council's primary missions is to advocate for the fundamental worker rights, including the right to organize and have fair representation in the workplace. Pleasant Valley Management's at-will status proposal in contract negotiations is an attack on those fundamental workers' rights. Having an at-will status for all workers is like starting a job and being on probation for life. What lifetime probation clause means is that workers are constantly under threat of being let go for any reason without any due process. This is a key protection for union workers. Without this protection, workers will be afraid to ever speak up at work and try and improve their workplace, try and improve district services, or try to advocate for a fair contract that lifts up our entire community. When Pleasant Valley workers voted to unionize, they did so to support quality services at Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, also to raise the standard of living for their families. That's what a good union job does. It lifts up our families, it lifts up our community, and it lifts up our district. This lifetime probation clause tries to take a sledgehammer to those worker rights. When I look at this proposal, all I see is good old-fashioned union busting. It's wrong for the district, it's wrong for our community, it is wrong for our county. I urge the board to reconsider its at-will proposal and go back to the tentative agreement that the workers voted to approve. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. Tiffany Lewis is next.
All right, good evening. Thank you for hearing us, chair and directors, other folks listening in. So my name is Tiffany Lewis. I'm a lifelong resident of Ventura County, and I actually grew up here in Camarillo. I've lived in many other parts of the county, being taken there by jobs or going to school. But when I had my daughter, we decided that Camarillo was going to be our home. And we chose Camarillo for many reasons. Great schools, kind communities, and outstanding parks and activities for my daughter to partake in. She plays a lot of sports. I think all of them almost. She does cheerleading in Freedom Park. She plays softball in Mission Oaks. She plays soccer on the soccer fields, and she plays in all of the parks all over and practices everywhere. So we do. And we partake in a lot of the other programs here. And because I spend so much time there, every weekend we are at a park. Several times a week. I'm extremely mindful that our parks are clean and well kept because of the very hard work and dedication of the Pleasant Valley workers who care for those parks every single day. And I'm here today to support those workers and their right to a fair contract. I come from a union family. My father's been a member of the United Aerospace Workers Union longer than I've been alive, and my grandfather was also a UAW member until he passed. Growing up in a union family, I learned about workers' rights and how we should respect those and protect those rights. And I learned to fight for my own value and worth and fight for the value and worth of others in my community. An at-will contract, sadly, does the exact opposite of that. It shows workers that they are not really worth much. They are disposable, that they are replaceable. Is that how we want to treat the people who work for our community, all of these hard workers who are here? Camarillo is better than that. Many successful companies have figured it out that with treating their employees good and at least treating them with respect, that's how you attract the best. That's how you attract people who want to stay in the community and work and live there. And there we go, 30 seconds, okay. Treating like workers that they're disposable is not how you do that. It's wrong to treat people who care for our community this way. It's not the example that we want to set for our children, and decisions like this are not why I moved back here to Camarillo. I urge you to please reconsider the at-will proposal and ask you to treat the district staff with the respect that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Next, I have A.J. Valenzuela.
Good evening, District Board. My name is A.J. Valenzuela, President of the Ventura County Young Democrats, and I'm here today to join the workers in requesting an approval of the tentative agreement without the at-will status clause. The workers and the residents all want safe recreational services for the community. Workers should be able to do their jobs without fears of losing it due to this clause. Let's move forward and pass this tentative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Danny Carrillo.
Good evening, Board, District staff. My name is Danny Carrillo, and I'm the Regional Director for SAIU Local 721. I'm here today because this board is bargaining in bad faith. We have no choice but to file an unfair labor practice against this district. If you have not received it by today, look for it in the next couple days. Back in August of 2018, we had already tentatively agreed on the items we had on the bargaining table. But then your negotiators, at the direction of this board, brought forth this misguided at-will status proposal to the table. As someone else mentioned, yes, this is a lifetime probation clause, and it is a clear attack on union rights. If we were to accept this proposal, we would be voting to silence our members' voices by ripping away due process. It's becoming more apparent that this is the wish of this board to do away with all union rights. We thought we were making progress when the at-will issue was tabled to be negotiated within 90 days, and our members voted to approve the TA at that time in good faith. But then this board unanimously shot down the tentative agreement. It's clear now that this board is holding the tentative agreement hostage because it doesn't know how to bargain in good faith or because it wants to deal a blow to basic union protections. When workers are on lifetime probation, they are afraid to speak up and are in fear for their job and not being able to provide for their families. One of our members already left because he could read the writing on the wall and saw the direction of this district. He was fearful of not knowing what tomorrow would bring with his job and providing for his family. It's a shame that we have to have this discussion in public forum. We both have the same interests. We want strong public services and to serve the residents of Camarillo. We should be working in partnership towards shared goals. Instead, this board has chosen to burn valuable taxpayer dollars on legal fees when it should be using that money to invest in workers and in services for this community. We don't know what you discussed at your closed session earlier tonight, but we hope you discuss a more positive direction, one that respects Pleasant Valley workers and is responsible to the public you all serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Mr. Simmons, you'll be called up when we get to item 8. Okay. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Item 8, new items. Clean Power Alliance. Who's presenting on this?
Chairman Kelly, members of the board, I would like to introduce our accounting specialist, Phil Santos. He has been working diligently on this project for the Clean Power Alliance to introduce the item to you and to show you his analysis. Point it toward the A. Okay.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly, members of the board. My name is Phil Santos. I'm the accounting specialist at the district. I'm here to provide information regarding Clean Power Alliance, the new electricity provider selected by the City of Camarillo. Starting May of 2019, non-residential customers of the city will be automatically enrolled and switch from Edison to Clean Power Alliance. The district has the following choices to make: accept CPA as its new electricity provider and the default rate chosen by the City of Camarillo, select another renewable tier rate offered by CPA, or opt out and remain a customer of Edison. A little bit of a background on how CPA, or the Community Choice Aggregator, came about. In 2002, AB 117 was passed, authorizing communities to provide electricity to all customers within their jurisdiction by becoming a Community Choice Aggregator. Under the law, local governments can combine the electric loads of its constituents to produce or purchase power at a lower cost. Investor-owned utilities, which is Edison, will continue to deliver the power over their transmission lines, maintain power lines, provide customer service, and they will still do the consolidated billing. The Community Choice Aggregator, which is CPA, will purchase this and sell the electricity. Customers are automatically enrolled as customers of the CCA, which is Community Power Alliance, and customers can elect to opt out and remain customers of Edison. On January 2018, the City of Camarillo approved Ordinance Number 1150. It's a joint powers agreement for Los Angeles Community Choice Energy, authorizing implementation of a community choice aggregation program. On February 18, LACCE was renamed Clean Power Alliance. February of 2019, all Camarillo SCE customers became CPA customers. The Camarillo City Council selected the default tier rate called Lean Power, which provides 36% renewable energy content. Now, the customers have the option to accept CPA as its electricity provider and the default tier rate, which is Lean Power, change to another CPA tier rate, or opt out and remain customers of Edison. Here are the CPA renewable energy options and cost. Like earlier, what was mentioned, the city have chosen Lean Power as the default tier rate for the city. They also offer Clean Power and Green Power. Now, the claim is that there's a potential savings of 1 to 2% if you go with CPA versus Edison based on the SCE Edison base rate. If you go with that clean power, it's going to be the same or 1% discount from the SCE base rate. And if you select green power, it's a 7% to 9% overall bill premium on the SCE base rate. Now, we did a snapshot on the total electricity cost of the district. If we have, in comparison to the Clean Power Alliance rates, and the claim is a potential savings of 1%, so our annual cost, if we select the lean power, is going to be, instead of $211,104, it's going to be $208. If we select the clean power, it's going to be the same. And if we select the green power, it's going to cost us more money for our electricity, and it's going to go up to $230.
Now, we should point out on that chart, we had a meeting with the representative. These are theoretical rates. There's no guarantee in any of these rates. These numbers over here for the amount are theoretical. They haven't have they actually got our billing?
So just for clarification, that is the amount right now. So if you look at that, it's the 2018 rate for SCE. That's what we paid, the $211. If we got the 1% discount based on last year's rate, it'd be $208. Based on last year's rate, if we did clean power, based on the 0 to 1% discount, we'd be even. And based on that, on green power, 100% or 9% premium, it'd be $230.
But the point I'm making is that's only in theory. They haven't actually received our bills because we're waiting for the Edison coming out with their official numbers, and they haven't actually crunched our numbers. Those are just theoretical numbers based on the mathematical.
Those are numbers based on 2018. The 2019, he'll go over that in a minute. You're correct. We don't have those. We don't have those.
I just want to make sure the public doesn't see those numbers and say, "Oh, we're making a savings." That's a theoretical number that there is no guarantee. First of all, they can even get to that number, and second of all, that wasn't actually done with looking at any of our billing or any of our rates. That was just going 1% automatic default number off our number. I'm just telling you how that number was generated. That's all I'm saying.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Fiscal impact. Fiscal impact will be based on the decision of the board. If it elects to remain a customer of Edison or opt in with Clean Power Alliance at a selected tier level. There's no penalty at this time for staying with SCE at this time outside of a potential cost saving of 1 to 2% with CPA. If the board chooses to become a CPA customer right away and switch back to SCE, the following may apply. Within 60 days after service starts, there's going to be a one-time 50-cent per account processing fee if you switch back to Edison. If you stay with CPA more than 60 days, then you have a one-time 50-cent per account processing fee, and then you're going to be returned to SCE as soon as possible, or you have two choices. It's either you're going to be returned to SCE as soon as possible and subject to Edison's transitional bundled service rates during 6 months, wherein this rate can fluctuate, or it's based on market rate. It can go up or can go down. Or you can return to Edison after 6 months with advance notice to Edison and stay with CPA within that 6 months, and you're going to be within that CPA tier rate, which is the lean power. If the district, this is also an option of opting in. Lost my slide. Now, if the district stay with Clean Power Alliance for less than 60 days and switch back to SCE, the district must provide Clean Power Alliance a 6-month notice of intent. to move back to CPA. If the district account stay with Clean Power Alliance more than 60 days and the district switches back to Edison, the district will need to provide the CPA a 12-month notice of intent to return back to them. Now, our recommendation is it is recommended the board approve opting out of Clean Power Alliance at this time and remain with Edison until district staff can complete a rate comparison using 2019 rates scheduled to be released by CPA the second week of April. So at this time, the cost comparison, like Board Member Mishler said, it was at 2018, based on 2018 rates. So as soon as we get the 2019 rates, we're going to do a rate comparison for 39 accounts that we have with Edison, so we can get a better picture if there's really a savings or not. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions?
Yeah. Phil, on one of the earlier slides, you mentioned that everybody had been changed in February. Actually, it was the residential accounts that were changed in February, and the commercial accounts are to be changed in May, which is why we're discussing it now. In talking with the Clean Power Alliance representatives, both Mike and I had very much the same concerns.
Mark, before, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what we should do maybe is we have a guest speaker. I mean, we have a member of the public who wants to make a statement or something. Should that go now before we have our comments?
We'll hear from the board first, then I'll have Mr. Simmons come up.
Yeah, I would think the member of the public would want to hear
what we have to say.
Their comments. So I want to tell them, what the concerns we have. First of all, we're concerned that this is essentially a power company owned by a bunch of city councils, and they have exactly zero experience in electrical business. And, that's a concern to us. The other big concern related to rates is Edison is regulated by the PUC, so their rates are fixed by law and they can't change, whereas the CPA is fixed by what works for them and they can change as they feel necessary. Now, how that really relates to us in part of Clean Power, we're a real unique sort of user in that the lion's share of our consumption is at night with field lighting, at parking lot lighting, irrigation pumps, pool pumps and filters, and all that stuff runs at night. And there's zero solar power available at night. Now, there is some hydropower, so there's no renewable power. But as a customer, we're going to be the CPA's worst customer because we use most of our electricity when they're going to have very limited resources. Now, their rates don't reflect that now as they've showed us, but I'm concerned that when we get along the way and they start to see what our consumption patterns are and the fact that we have aggressively discounted rates for those parking lot lights and those swimming pool pumps and all that sort of stuff, that they'll have a hard time sustaining that, and that we'll see without warning really significant increases because of the way that we generate power. We're not the usual sort of 9 to 5 business. Our electricity, when PV Fields is lit with all the lights there, it's 500 kilowatt hours we're consuming every minute. It's a really huge demand for power. And we get that at what?
It's 5 cents per kilowatt hour with no line charges or surplus or limits or anything else. That's a state government provided rate for public, for government agencies to use lights at night at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's one of the issues I had was following up on that is I don't see how they can buy power at 5 cents per kilowatt hour, especially at night, and provide that to us at that type of rate. Their costs have to be higher than that 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
So those are our concerns, but the real issue at this point in the staff proposal is right on, is we just flat don't have the numbers to make this decision. So anyway, that's all I have.
Doc, you have anything?
Yeah, when I read through this, I had a whole lot of questions. One of the questions you already answered is it says 50 cents per account. I was wondering how many accounts we have. So that's that seems that's a minuscule number. The The other question I had was well, one is what percentage of renewable energy does SCE use? Do you know?
We were told at the meeting about 33%. So going with lean power, they're getting up to 36. So they're gaining 2 or 3% over what Edison's already doing.
And the other question I had, and I don't know if anybody has the answer to this, but theoretically, they would probably like everyone to go to the maximal renewable energy sources. But is there enough renewable energy to actually meet that kind of demand? Is there potentially an issue that if you get a large demand for renewable energy, that there's not enough renewable energy yet to meet that kind of demand? Do we have any information on what that is? My understanding is that the production of renewable energy is not even at the level where the state is wanting us to ultimately move toward 100%, but we're nowhere near being able to generate that kind of renewable energy at this point. Do you have any information on that?
No, sir.
Okay. You did your calculation based on 1%, but they're indicating the 1 to 2%. So your calculation is based on their least optimistic projection.
We won't know until we do or get the rates for 2019. The 1% to 2% is that claim that they're putting out there, that the savings that you're going to have.
Okay.
So what they did was, we provided them with the annual cost that we have for the district, and they just multiplied that by the 1%. So that's how they came up with the figure. But you won't know until you do a detailed analysis, month by month, number of kilowatts, off-peak, super peak, and see, because that's the only way. And once we come up with that, then it's going to be presented back to the Finance Committee.
No, but to my point was that their statement is they're projecting a 1 to 2%, and the calculation was based on 1%. So the calculation on the savings was the least optimistic of their projections. Yes. What is it? Do they give any guarantee on those? My impression that when I got this at my home, we got the same information, and my impression was that the lean power, the lowest rate one, was fixed to the Edison rate and would be priced at 1 to 2%.
We were told in the meeting by a representative of CPA, point blank, because we asked that question point blank, there are no guarantees. These are goals they are attempting to meet. They are intending 100% to meet the goals they are stating of that 1 to 2%. That's their goal. There are no guarantees. They will give us no guarantees. Okay. If the cost may come in higher. But again, there are no guarantees. This is a theoretical rate on what they're hoping to reach.
Okay. Then that would be. I mean, I read over the information they sent to our home, and I read over the information that's in this packet, and as I understood it, it seemed pretty clear that it was a 1 to 2%. If what you're saying is accurate, then what the mailings are, I think, is misleading.
Again, we asked them point blank. They said point blank, these are their stated goals. They intend to meet these goals, but there are no guarantees that they are going to meet those goals. When Edison comes out with their rate, they have to meet those rates, and they're locked in by law. But these guys are not. And so we never know from month to month what's going to happen with these rates if you sign up with them.
Okay. In our packet, on the second page, the second paragraph down, it says, I underlined, Clean Power Alliance customers it says that they will adjust the rates as needed to ensure current savings and premiums do not change on all of CPA's rates, and that they remain competitive with SCE. So is that sentence is then incorrect?
That's their goal. That's their stated goal.
Okay,
and
but
that is true.
Okay,
that is their stated goal. Okay. That's their mission. Okay. That's their goal. That's what they're attempting to do.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm reading what's in our packet. Our packet doesn't say it is their goal. It says that they will. So you're saying that our packet is incorrect?
I'm telling you what the representative from CPA was in our office and told us point blank when we asked that same question.
So you're telling me the information in the packet is incorrect?
I'm not saying anything about the information in the packet because that's not my packet. You have to ask them.
So I think there's a couple things. One, they're going to set their rates after SCE. And their initial for this year, they committed this year to do a 1% to 2% discount from SCE. But they only said, which is kind of where it's going, is they only said that they can make that guarantee for this year because they will set their rates after that based on other factors. So for this year, it was to do a 1% to 2% discount. But once again, that was for this year only because they'll have to go back every year and set rates just like SCE. And we don't have the rate comparison at this point to compare to see if it'd be 1% or 2% savings. Because the other thing for the district is we have to look at all the various peak hours. So the peak hours and all those things have changed. So I don't know that we'll guarantee if we change over that we would see a 1% to 2%, depending on where all of those hours are, because we're all over the board with our usage.
Okay, but what I'm hearing is a proposal that we not opt in, or that we basically opt out in order to wait and see what the rates of CPA, is that what they're?
Correct.
Yeah. Versus Edison. But I guess my confusion is if since we don't know what the rates of Edison are going to be, and we don't know the rates of either one of them are going to be, but if from what Mike is saying and what our packet is saying, or sound a little bit different. Our packet says, and the information that I've received in my home says, that the rate will be 1% to 2% below Edison's rate. So regardless of if Edison's rate goes up, of course their rate goes up too, but it still will be 1% to 2% below. But what Mike is saying is that is not, they're not saying that they're saying that they hope that they're going to do that. So I guess our decision kind of, I think does that little difference there does impact our decision, because if they are guaranteeing a 1% to 2% rate below Edison, then I see no problem in going with them if we can opt out after the end of the year, because if we're saying we're going to wait and see. But the rates are not guaranteed. If they come out this year and say we're 1% to 2% below, and then at that point we change, that's still no guarantee for the future. So it seemed to me that this is one of those things we're going to have to follow on an annual basis and adjust our agreement based on who's got the best rates.
And when I asked them about that, our nighttime light charge is 5 cents per kilowatt hour. I asked them point blank, what's your rate going to be? She didn't know. The lady did not know.
Uh-huh.
They didn't even know they can match that. They don't know. They haven't published anything.
So
they can't even guarantee that they can even match that 5 cents per kilowatt hour right now. So why do we have to make a decision today until there's no reason to make any decision today until we get some actual numbers and comparisons. Then that won't be a guarantee.
Yeah. I'm not trying to make an argument again for or against either one. I'm just trying to get information to help me understand it. Because what I'm reading tells me that seemingly they're guaranteeing a 1% to 2% rate reduction, which is okay. Well, if you're guaranteeing it, we'll take it.
That's why I stated during the presentation that is not a guarantee. That is only a proposal from them. Okay.
And that's everybody's understanding. Then is that everyone's understanding that their offer of a 1% to 2% rate is not a guarantee. It's just a goal.
Well, from my understanding with that is there's a couple of things. One is the 1% to 2% is I think for this year is where they were looking at. They could probably guarantee it because they're going to set their rates. Moving forward, they're not going to be able to guarantee the 1% or 2%. The other part of that is we don't have the rates to do the comparison. And part of the challenge with that is because of our usage, I can't tell you where we're going to be. So that's the reason what we're looking at today is the board action, because if we don't opt out, we will automatically be opted in. So Correct. It's easier right now to make sure that we initially opt out, make sure that we have plenty of time to do that, and then we can go back and evaluate. And we could go back and evaluate in 6 months and see that there's certain lights. Each one of these are an individual account, which is a question that we had asked. So if we find out that PV fields and all of those with the lights, and we need to stay with SEE, we can stay with SEE for all of those. And if there's some other ones that we find that is better for us to go with clean power, we can look at those that we use during the day. So maybe at the community center, because most of the use of that is the community center is during the day, we can look at that specific one and then opt into clean power. So until we can kind of analyze that because of our different usages, and it's not like most constituents, we have a little bit of time to do that. And that's what this action does. It gives us some time to really look at that to make sure that we're making the best decision.
Okay. That's actually the best explanation for their argument so far for what they're proposing. If we do have multiple accounts, so we have the option of choosing some of our accounts to be on one and some of our accounts to be on the other.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that gives me enough information to know where I want to go with it. Thank you.
Thank you. You have anything, Michael? You're up.
No, Mary answered my question. I wanted to know if it was all of our accounts or partial, so she answered that question, so thank you.
Well, the chair wants to know if anybody knows, what's the backstory on this? Anybody? How did this happen? I mean, how did it come to pass that you are in unless you opt out?
I think the city council.
So that was a city council action item.
But
I was going to say.
I mean, who's behind this?
Why don't you have we have a member from the public who wants to talk.
I'm asking the question right now, Michael. I'm just asking, who's behind this?
It was.
Okay. Jerry Brown and his boys, right? That's what I wanted to know. Okay, now you're up, Mr. Simmons.
Honorable Directors, I'm Angus Simmons. I'm a resident of Camarillo. I love Recreation and Parks District. I love the parks, the greenness, the environmental opportunity to recreate myself. And I'm also a member of the Clean Power Alliance's Community Advisory Committee. And so, yes, the Clean Power Alliance and Community Choice aggregators were set up by AB 117 by the California State Legislature. And the format of doing these kinds of providers of energy was set by AB 117 and SB 790. There are now 19 such entities in California. They've been set up since 2010. They serve now about 8 million people. The Clean Power Alliance, after transferring 900,000 residential customers to its service in February, is now the 5th largest energy provider in California. They operate in 29 cities and 2 counties in our area. During that February transfer, it's worth noting that the vast overwhelming majority of people transferred over, and only about 3.3% of people chose to remain with Edison, having looked at the value proposition and the environment and the decarbonization proposition. As you mentioned, the CPA was brought into Camarillo by the Camarillo City Council. They chose the 36% default rate. That rate means that 36% of the energy, the electricity, is from renewable sources. And if that's the CPA's lowest rate, it is set at 1 to 2% below Edison's rate, and that's the board directive to do that. Now, rates can change, but that rate is set at 1 to 2% below whatever the rate is. So if your concern is cost, that's going to be your lowest cost option. There's a website where you can get on and use their tool and do the comparison right away of your costs versus their costs. I would think that, and I would urge, if you're interested in saving money, then the lean power default rate would be your best option. I could speak a little longer to some of these other issues that you've mentioned, but my time's up.
Go ahead.
So in the course of setting up these 19 other community choice aggregators in California, there has been a lot of new renewable energy funded. So in 2017, there were 1,000 megawatts of renewable energy that had been established and purchased under power purchasing agreements that were signed by these various CCA or community choice aggregators. So then the next year, in 2018, that amount had doubled because the number of these was increasing all the time, and they purchased energy, and the markets responded to the procurement, and so more renewable energy was produced. None of these 19 CCAs have ever failed to be able to find the energy that they needed to supply customers. That's also been the case with the Clean Power Alliance. The Clean Power Alliance, when they've put out their RFPs, have found very strong, robust responses. Although the Clean Power Alliance sets its rates publicly in Clean Power Alliance meetings, and they don't do it the way Edison does it, so each of your city representatives is a director, and these discussions are held publicly. The rate setting has gone smoothly up till now. The transfer of 900,000 customers in February worked very smoothly, and the CPA has been able to purchase all of the electricity that it needs to supply customers, and it's required to do so by the PUC, even though it's not required to put its rates before the PUC, but it has to meet resource adequacy requirements that are set by the state of California before it can operate. So the ability to supply customers is required and baked into the administrative and legal framework of operating a CCA. And I'd be happy to take other questions if you have them.
I'd like to. Anybody have any?
Yeah, I do too. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The two questions. One's an easy one. One might be a little harder. The first one is do you buy energy across state lines?
Yes, some can be purchased across state lines, although almost all of it is purchased in California.
Because I've read that the state of Arizona is looking at building large fields of solar power and wind power in order to supply the state of California with our new laws demanding this green power. But the second question is, the proposal before us is that we should kind of stand on the stay with SCE and stand on the sidelines and kind of see what happens, and then pick the winner. What flaw do you see with that strategy?
Well, I think if your interest is least cost supply, then you can start locking in your savings and go with the 36% lean power tier, and you can do that right away. So I don't see any reason why you would want to wait. And if you want to, increase your renewable energy and not pay more, you could always go to the clean energy option. And if you wanted to show environmental leadership and have that be part of your brand as Parks and Recs, then you could go to 100%, and there would probably be some social media and other PR benefits that could be had. But it would cost more because that rate is set at 7 to 9% above the Edison rate base, while the 50% rate is set at parity and a little bit less, and the 36% is set at 1 to 2% less.
But at it's a relatively short amount of time. It's 6 months. Well, if we decide early on, it's 60 days. We could for 50 cents per account, we can just switch over at that point if we want. If there's some anxiety on our part as to whether these numbers can actually, the CPA can actually meet these numbers. It's only 50 cents per account for us to switch over if we do it in less than 60 days.
Well, I don't know how many accounts you have, and I don't know, what's in your accounts, and I don't know whether you have time of use rates. So, I haven't seen that. But I'm sure that, that analysis could be done. And I think the changeover doesn't have to happen until May, because that's when the changeover starts. So we still have some time to do research without penalty, I think.
I'm sorry, it might be in our packet, but when are the rates going to be published? Do you know?
I'm not exactly sure when the rates are going to be published. And I mean, there's the rates, you're meaning the actual rates as opposed to the percentage differential.
Right.
The percentage differential is set, but the rates are different, are coming out. And that's because, last year there was so there was an ERA filing, that's the Energy Resource Recovery Act, maybe, because Edison underestimated the cost of its expenses that it was going to have this year, last year during the summer, and so it had an $880 million charge for additional purchase of energy. And because under the rates of the PCIA, which is the power charge and difference adjustment, and because Edison, as a publicly regulated utility, was required to purchase enough energy for all of its customers, and then it's allowed to recover those additional costs, it applied to the PUC to get permission to get those costs back, and it wanted also that departing customers who went to the SCA to be able to pay their share of the costs that it incurred for buying enough energy for everybody. And so those costs have to now be factored into the prices for both Edison and the SCA. So that's what's causing changes in the actual rates, but the percentage of differential is going to stay the same. But those rates are just coming out right now in the next couple of days, I think.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Mark, you're up.
Yeah, my question is, what's the mix of your clean power between solar, which is only available when the sun comes up, and non-solar, such as nuclear or hydroelectric power that is available around the clock? What's the mix between those two,
Well,
and what's the trend in the mix?
The mix of renewable is going to be more solar, less wind. I can't give you an exact amount right at this moment. More solar, less wind, and then there's small hydro, and there's other sources like geothermal, and then there's going to be if there's now, and then there are new batteries that are coming on. So part of the SCA's most recent RFPs, they've started to put in batteries for storage so that you can supply electricity at night, even though you're not generating it at night. Wind has some generation at night. So all of these sources are going to be available and increasingly available in the future. That's so, but all of these CCA organizations put energy into the grid, and the grid delivers it to the customers. And when they make contracts and they contract to supply energy, they're required to do it. And, you know, the CCAs also do purchase some portion of fossil fuels so that they can handle requirements when they're not generating and putting it into the CalISO grid.
Yeah, well, my understanding is that solar is growing, you know,
It's growing very
exponentially, but
I mean,
that's not a good fit for us
well,
and our demand needs.
Well-
And in addition to that, you've got the other trend of people buying electric cars that get charged at night. So the demand in the nighttime hours is starting to go up, and my understanding there's some upward pressure on the nighttime rates as well because of this. And
Well,
we're protected from that because our purchases of power at night are on specific tariffs for sports field lighting and parking lot lighting and those sort of things. So when would that information be available is what the mix is and what they're expecting it to be.
You know, I'll take your question back because
Okay.
I don't have the information right now.
But
I'm-
we're a pretty unique customer, so
I answer pretty quickly. And my impression is that the SCA, the CPA, the Clean Power Alliance is, you know, out of the gate doing about, overall, about 60% renewable energy, you know, as it gets started. And that percentage is going to increase as more people take higher percentages and more people move to 100%. And as all utilities in California, all suppliers in California move towards meeting California's RPS requirements. But the speed of the transition has been quite quick. I mean, if you go from 1,000 megawatts in 2017 of renewable energy to 2,000 in 2018, 2,000 megawatts of energy is basically a Hoover Dam of electricity supply. So the markets are responding to the RFPs that are coming out by these community choice energy entities.
Okay, that's all I have.
I just have some simple questions that maybe the average person out there watching has. Is the purpose behind this particular AB 117 to be rid of fossil fuels? Is that what the main focus is?
I think that AB 117 came at a time when there had been a lot of challenges in the energy markets. And it was an attempt, I think, to provide opportunity for stability and different kinds of, different models of supply. I think there was definitely a, you know, an environmental and decarbonization thought there, but that wasn't, that was far from the only thought when it was set up back then. They didn't get set up and running very quickly. Although the law was about 2002, it was 2010 when Marine Clean Energy set up the first one of these. They're the longest running and operating clean community choice energy provider.
It appears to be obvious that if if CPA has its way, they will eliminate eventually Edison from the grid. Would you agree with me on that?
No, not from the grid. Actually, they're in partnership because the community choice energy entities, or the SCA, is simply an energy provider. So they purchase the energy, or the electricity, and it's delivered to the grid, but transmission and distribution remains an Edison or utility function. So they cooperate in doing that.
What is the, Mark kind of asked this question, but I'm not sure I got an answer that satisfied me. Where do you see the future growth to provide this clean energy that's certainly going to be required if CPA keeps converting people over to the clean energy side of things? Where's the growth going to be? Is it solar, wind, hydro? What is it?
All of the above. It could be wind, it could be wave. I mean, it could be any source. But I think solar, both, there could be distributed solar, so there could be a lot more solar on every roof. There is community scale solar, both by panels out in the desert. If you go out to Palmdale or, head towards Las Vegas, you'll see there's community scale molten salt turbine supply. So if you drive to Las Vegas, there's a very bright light area there with Ivanpah. You can see it on the, but out in the desert near Palmdale and Lancaster, you'll see lots and lots of solar panel rows that are producing. There's a lot of wind in Kern County and out towards Palm Springs and also up in the Livermore area. So there are a lot of areas. The fastest growing area of energy supply in California at the moment, and the trend has been for solar. But wind is growing very quickly as well.
Well, I'd just like to mention this. It's neither here nor there, but we need reservoirs in this state, yet every time even the thought of a reservoir is brought up, the environmentalists rush in and crush it. Why wouldn't the same thing happen when massive amounts of solar that are way more, which is going to require way more, are put out in these beautiful desert areas? Why aren't they going to run into the same exact thing?
I'm not sure which thing you're...
Well, I'm saying that they won't. Every time a reservoir was even like discussed, the environmentalists, no, you're not going to do that. They even want to tear down dams, which of course would hurt the hydro. So what is the guarantee that that same exact thing won't happen when they start the proliferation of these massive solar farms in pristine areas in the state?
Well, I think, that's a concern, and I think there is. I mean, it's already happening.
I'm sure it is.
Environments there's environmental questions that are asked about, every form of energy. We do need energy, so that's, that's where we are. But, yes. And, I mean, there's a lot of innovation that's come about through some of this, too. I mean, the Sonoma Clean Power has the second largest, what they call the photovoltaic energy source in the world right now, because they've used some of their reservoirs and they've put floating solar panels on top of reservoirs. So I mean, but everything that you do to produce energy does require space and requires all of the things that you have to do to build a new facility, including, environmental reviews and so the market is working through those questions, and, it's an ongoing discussion about any place where you choose to locate something.
Anybody have any other questions?
No, I didn't just add some data from our meeting, if I can.
I can't hear you.
I have no more questions.
Before we vote on it, could we?
Well, I want to mention some stuff.
We can just go down the line and we can each make comments.
Well, I want to mention from our meeting, from the when we had the representative there at our subcommittee meeting, the committee meeting. CPA does not. I just want to mention, for your information, CPA does not own any solar farms or any producing facilities, so they're strictly a buyer of these energies from sources. This is the same as Edison is.
Right.
So, well, I'm just saying. Oh, excuse me. So I'm just stating the fact that they don't actually own anything. They're not they're not generating their own power or anything. They're just out there contracting and buying. Number two, during the first year, the representative said one of the big goals they have is to build up their reserves. So they don't have, obviously they're starting up as a new organization, Joint Powers Act, they don't have any reserve monies or anything. So during this first year, they're going to be putting and allocating money to build up some of their reserves. I'm just going to mention that. And then the third thing I want to mention is if hypothetically they do get to the end of their time period, 1 year, and they have some rebate money or things go very well and they have some surplus funds and stuff, their plan is not to rebate them to all the customers. The rebates will only go back to the cities. So if there's a rebate that we overpaid, it will go back to the city of Camarillo to spend. And they get the rebate and they get to spend any rebate that we would have on our billing. I just want to mention that little point. So.
I don't know for sure. I mean,
well, I'm sorry. I'm not asking you a question, sir.
No, I know.
Sir, I'm not asking you a question. Okay, so unless someone, I'm just stating a fact. You can sit down now. I'm not asking you for.
I would say.
Sir, I'm not asking for anything.
Let him stand there until everybody's done here in case they have another question for him. Elaine, what do you have?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mark, what do you have?
I'm done. This is very clear. We don't have the facts to make a decision. The right thing to do is opt out and make a rate comparison.
Exactly.
Hey, Doc, you had a few comments.
Okay, yeah. All right. In the last couple of weeks, I've been throwing myself in the meat grinder of public scrutiny, so I might as well continue. This whole thing gets down to the environment and global warming and all that sort of thing. And just at the risk of public ridicule, global warming is real. And we have to, we as a park district, though, have to find that balance between being responsible stewards of the environment, but we also have to pay our bills. And we have to make the best financial decision for our district. That being said, based on what I see here, I don't see a lot of harm in standing on the sidelines and watching what's going to happen and making our decisions based on when those rates come out. That being said, I do think it's important that when those rates come out, that is brought back before the board here so we can reconsider. And I see us doing sort of a hybrid sort of a thing with some accounts likely staying with Edison and some likely going with the Clean Power Alliance. And I think wherever possible, wherever it's a break even, or certainly when it's profitable to us, but even in a break even situation, I think we should, whenever possible, choose the Clean Power Alliance. And so, I guess just to rephrase that, I think standing on the sidelines doesn't cost us anything for the short period of time that it takes us to change over in the 50 cents per account that requires. But I think we do need to be monitoring the situation and choosing clean power whenever we possibly can.
I just have one more follow-up. What happens if Edison decides to drop off 1% or 2% to make the game a little more fair? Does the PUC step in and say, no, you can't do that, or what?
Well, Edison, does have to submit its rates, but I'm not sure why you're so people you get into power purchasing agreements, and they're usually long-term, and the price of energy has been, especially renewable energy, has been dropping. So if you start now, you're getting a lower long-term rate than somebody who took a higher price. Edison also has costs that are different than the Clean Power Alliance. The Clean Power Alliance's board is all public officials. It's a JPA. It's not it doesn't have the same cost and profit structure that the CPA does. Its CEO doesn't earn the same salaries as somebody in an investor-owned utility does. So I'm not sure. The CPA would, the PUC would analyze rate submissions and make a decision on whether it thought that they were complying with all the requirements of rate setting. So I don't know that there would be any way for them to just, arbitrarily decide to make their costs lower, if that's what you're asking.
I was just asking if that could happen. I don't know.
Price change can happen anytime out in the market, and it can affect both Edison and the CPA.
Well, thank you for coming up here and taking all of our questions and spending the time with us tonight.
Well, I think that that's a very interesting, and I will try to get more clarity on some of the one detailed question, which is interesting, but I think, it's covered by an overall procurement and a requirement that Clean Power Alliance supplies its customer when it under a contract. So
I'll expect to see you back here the next time we discuss this.
I'd be honored as a citizen of Camarillo to come back and talk further.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve opting out of the Clean Power Alliance at this time.
I'll second.
Is your recommendation as written, the recommendation in our packet, where it will again be back to the board?
I said at this time.
Okay.
So we're going to do it at this time, and obviously we're going to have, it's already been mentioned, that they're going to be publishing data. Well, we've already mentioned that that data will be analyzed by our staff from CPA. We'll have a committee meeting. We'll be able to look at that raw data, and obviously we will come back to the full board. Okay. That committee is not going to make a decision for the full board.
Okay, so that your motion.
At this time, the motion I made is to opt out of the Clean Power Alliance at this time. We're not going to be defaulting into it. I'm not sure, is that...
Call the roll, please.
Director Mishler?
Yes.
Wait just a second. What?
I wrote it. Did you ask who wrote it?
No, I said call the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was cute.
Director Mishler?
Yes.
Director Magner?
Yes.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Yeah, yes, with the provision that the understanding it is that is written in the recommendation by staff.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Well, that took longer than I thought. Consideration and adoption of resolution number 622, approval of capital improvements, mid-year budget adjustments for year 2018-2019.
Chairman
Fiscal
Kelly,
year.
members of the board, tonight I'm bringing to you the capital improvement budget mid-year adjustments. We adopted our budget in July of 18 for these projects. We reviewed them in January, but due to the fact that some of these projects were close to completion or were not started yet, we wanted to reevaluate it in March to see where we were going to land with a projection of June 30th for the 18-19 fiscal year. Again, we reviewed it in March. Staff is bringing to you 6 items along with a new item for the capital improvements. Currently, when you look in your financials, you'll see that our CIP is at 99%. That's due to some of the items being over budget, others being under budget. In the July adoption of the budget in 2018, the board adopted $403,000 approved funds for the CIP to be paid out of Fund 10, with a carryover of prior year of $81,000 for the Springville Dog Park wall. We reviewed the projects. We determined again that 6 of them are going to be out of line for June 30th, and we needed to add the LPA, which is the architect for the Senior Center Community Recreation Center facility. And of that $228,000 that we're adding to our capital, the City of Camarillo will be paying half. But you will be seeing that as a whole in the budget, so it does not appear when we're audited that we are over budget on an item. Here's a listing of the projects that we're asking for an adjustment on. The first one is the Springville Dog Park. And so the first column is the project name. Second is what we adopted in July of 18, the budgeted amount. Third column is what we've spent. And then the last column is what we're asking the adjustment to be. Before I move on, do you have any questions on this slide? for either myself or Bob? No? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
How are we going to show that half? Are we show that as income from the city?
No, it will not be reflected. It'll be going back to the capital project.
Oh, okay, just like a reimbursement type thing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So the fiscal impact, there is no direct fiscal impact to our revenue versus our expenses. There is an impact to what's left of our capital funds. We currently have a little over $2 million in our capital account, so there is adequate cash to cover these requested adjustments. So tonight I'm asking that the board adopt Resolution 622 approving these mid-year capital improvement budgets for this fiscal year.
Leo's explained it absolutely perfectly. I have nothing to. It's very simple. We approved all of these increases in the costs and the projects along the way for a variety of reasons. It's just an adjustment.
Yeah. I think the numbers are they're not even as much as they look like, because half of them, the biggest one is the LPA, and we're getting half of that back from the city. So
I'm good.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 622, approval of the mid-year capital improvements budget adjustments for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Second.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Lump sum versus monthly CalPERS unfunded liability payment. Item C.
Chairman Kelly, members of the board, this is an item I bring to you annually. We are now asked or required by PERS to make a payment either monthly or annually for the unfunded liability. We've been doing this since the fiscal year of 14-15. During 14-15 and 15-16, due to our cash flows, we did do annual payments, but we have since, with 16-17, started making one lump sum payment, which is made in July of every year. And the reason we were conservative when this first started was we wanted to make sure we had enough funds to carry us through December 31st in case we had to borrow from capital. The reason this all came about was due to poor investment returns that CalPERS was receiving on their investments. And again, as I stated, we can pay monthly or annually, and that's why I bring this item to you to see what direction you would like me to go. This item is due by July 31st, and the interest rate, if we do not pay it by July 31st, would be 7.25%. So for the fiscal year 1920, a lump sum payment, which would be paid in July, would be $348,000. If we opt for the monthly payment, that would equate to $360,000. So there's a $12,000 difference depending on which option the board directs me to go. Right now, after looking at revenues versus expenses, if they continue to stay the same, I do not believe the district will have to borrow money from capital come December, but yet we will be monitoring the funds, and on a conservative route, I may come to you in November, as I've done in the past, just to ask if I can borrow money if needed. I did that last year, and I did not have to borrow any money, but I would rather come to you in November than to have to call a special meeting around the holidays to get permission to borrow from capital.
Yeah, and when you borrow, we're borrowing from ourselves. We're not actually.
Correct, but I like to make sure the board's fully aware of that before that action takes place. So tonight I'm asking for the board to give me direction for the July due date, as well as for budget purposes, if you would like me to do the annual payment or the monthly payment.
Well, this calls for a motion.
I make a motion to approve for staff to pay the CalPERS as an annual payment for fiscal year 2019-2020 for the unfunded liability.
It'd be a lump sum.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second.
Let me make one comment before we vote. Most of the communities that talk about this refer to it as a prepayment, like they're somehow doing something wonderful. but they're not. The truth is it's due, and when you pay it up front, like we're going to do and virtually all agencies in Ventura County have, you save that interest charge, in this case $12,000. So
It's not a
this
free
is a formality that we're doing here. So okay, that's all I have.
It's an annual payment that's due now. Yeah.
Did I have a second?
Yes, I
Okay,
second.
call the roll, please.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Mishler?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Kelly?
Aye. Item D, nominations for candidate for CSDA Board of Directors. Seat B.
Good evening, Chairman Kelly and members of the board. Megan Hamlin, admin analyst. So I am here tonight to share with you guys about the California Special Districts Association. They're looking for a member of their seat B for the board of directors. So seat B would be for the 2020 to 2022 term. So it could be a board member or a general manager. There are 6 different geographical networks, and we fall underneath the coastal network. And underneath each network, there are 3 seats, and they stagger these terms. So this district, this board of directors is responsible for a few different things. They do all of the policy decisions that might be related to member services. They do legislative advocacy, education resources. There's some responsibilities that go along with this position. There are annual meetings in Sacramento. They average between 4 or 5 annually a year. They ask that you participate in at least one committee. That would be about 3 to 4 meetings a year, to attend the special district's legislative days, to attend the CSDA annual conference, and then you need to complete the 4 modules of CSDA Special District Leadership Academy, but you have 2 years to do that within the time that you are elected. So the board can choose to nominate somebody from the board of directors or the general manager, and this has to be done and sent in by April 17th. Then all of the nominations they'll send out an electronic ballot. They'll take all those ballots, they have to be returned back in, and then they will announce the winners on August 14th. There is no fiscal impact to the district, so it is recommended that the board provide direction if you would like to nominate somebody for seat B.
What do we want to do?
I recommend that we do not nominate anyone. I'm currently on the board, and I'm not on seat B. And I think, as you all know, I travel to Sacramento more than what they lead you to believe. And I just, I think one board member is probably enough from our board to do that. I mean, and I know that Mary's plate is full. And and we currently have the incumbent who is going to run again, and I think he does an excellent job. He's one of those people who has a director's frame of mind, even though he's a GM, and I think he's a very important asset to that board. So I would recommend we do not choose a GM or director from our board.
Does anybody disagree with Elaine? Then that will be the direction. Next, 9, informational items. Chairman Kelly, just a couple of brief things. I've actually had a chance, now that the weather is better, to drive around and see some of the park areas that I many times don't get to see other than every once in a while. And I've got to say that the parks in the city look fantastic. Yes, there's some construction going on here and there, but everything's so green, and there's people out there, and looks like everybody's having a lot of fun, and it's a great time to live in the city. And it's obviously the staff's doing a great job out there, keeping the parks nice and doing what they're supposed to do, and makes me proud to live in the city. I always said you can't have a great city without great parks. they come together. Secondly, and I might have three things actually, but number two, I've had a chance recently, last few months, to meet with the staff at in various meetings that we have, as well as the meeting we have once a month to brief the chair on the coming agenda and so forth. And I have to say that I am very impressed with all of you, some of you who are here tonight, with the professionalism and, for instance, standing your ground on things when I challenge you and so forth. Believe me, a lot of good things have been done around here because the people that we have working here are pretty darn good. Three, another item. This is some freebie legal advice, but it's actually not legal advice. Don't take it. Just listen to it. It doesn't necessarily apply to the people here at the district, because if you're a government employee, you are very, very lucky in that the ERISA statute does not apply to you in regard to benefits. What the average person doesn't know, and you may have a husband or a wife or a son or what have you that's in a ERISA program, which is mostly everybody. If you're a big enough employer, of course, it doesn't apply to the cigar shop over here in the mall or what have you. But if they work for a reasonably sized company, it does. And many times, young college graduates and people that you know, your friends and so forth, are recruited to go to work for these companies. And one of the things that they use to recruit is benefit plans. Well, unfortunately, a long time ago when the ERISA Act was brought in, it's a federal act, they sneaked a couple of things in there that are very harmful to those who work for these companies. It was kind of passed off as a really good thing, but at the end of the day, there was some really bad things involved in it. And one of those things is this. If you have a benefit from a company, you have virtually no guarantee that that benefit will ever be provided. Now, again, it doesn't apply to government employees. If they decide that your medical procedure that you need is what they call investigational, you just don't get it. So what do you do when that happens? Well, you have this right to appeal. Well, who do you appeal to? Company people. Well, then you have a chance to appeal that decision. And who does it go to? Same people. Well, your last line of attack is to write a federal judge and ask him if he'll help you. Knowing a few federal judges, I can tell you that is not what they bought into when they became a federal judge, is to hear employment complaints like that. And so the chances of getting the federal court's attention is slim and none, so you're pretty much stuck with that second appeal. Lastly, when you finally get to the federal judge, he usually tells you, well, even if I wanted to help you, I couldn't, because unless you introduced all the evidence you needed at those appeals, I can't accept it and you're out. So the reason I tell you this is that there's a lot of young people out there. They go, they're promised things. Watch out, because if they don't do it, there's, in the opinion of this lawyer, there's not a heck of a lot you can do about it. This comes up usually in the context of disability plans, where you say that the employer offers you $50 a month for a disability plan, and you say that would be nice if something happens, I can, get $4,000 a month to take care of my rent and so forth. Well, if they decide that you are not entitled to it, well, guess what? You're in trouble. And, oh, by the way, something I didn't mention. Many of you might think, oh, I'll just get a lawyer and sue. I'll go down and see Bob Kelly and get him to go after these people. Nope, the gong bell's going to ring because they made sure they put in the statute that you can't sue them. These are just things that you need to be looking at. Look at your packet. Make sure you know what benefits you have. Don't wait until something happens to find out you don't have what you thought you had. And in the case of a disability policy, I like private disability policies, not ones you buy from your employment. And the reason is because if they don't pay you, you can sue them. Not that it'll be easy, but at least you have the right to do it. So that's Kelly's law advice tonight. Ventura County Special District Association.
We met last night, and we, first of all, we walked in and the general manager of Caligas informed us that Friday was her last day at work, so we're going to miss Susan. She's been a great asset to VCSDA, and she's always attends the meetings. So we had the guest speaker last night was John Christ, and he's from the Farm Bureau, and I was a little concerned. I'm like, really? I'm going to sit here and listen to the guy from the Farm Bureau. But let me tell you, it was very, very interesting speech. So also Tom Slauson, he is a director from Caligas, and he is the new chair, and he did a wonderful job. So that went over really well. And so June 4th, we'll be meeting at Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District Senior Center. So I bet I'm looking at her, seeing if she's shaking her head yes. So next one, California Special Districts Association. I don't even know where to start. What I will say is I'm headed there tomorrow for the rest of the week. And we've got a huge, huge calendar. The agenda's over 500 pages. And the legislative items that are being advocated for special districts are very, very important right now, especially with the public housing issues and a few other things. So hopefully next meeting I'll be able to give you a better update on what's going on with that. So, but that's where I'm headed tomorrow, is to Sacramento. So I'll have a better idea.
Oversight Board.
There was no meeting.
Santa Monica.
There was a meeting last week. I attended it up in Thousand Oaks, and they had a lot of technical problems in the meeting, so we really didn't cover very much. We spent 2 hours doing almost nothing, but there's nothing to report.
Finance?
Finance, we are now 2/3 of the way through our fiscal year, so we're at that 66.66% place in our spending and our revenue. Our district is tracking normally per budget for both revenues and expenses. However, the second half of our property tax revenue will come in the next few weeks, and that represents about 80% of our income. So we'll have a really good handle on where we are income-wise. Spending-wise, we have complete control, but income-wise, that'll tell us, even though we have a good indication based on the first payment and the history of that. You'll notice our cash balances are about 2% above year-ago levels, despite all this capital spending we've been doing. All of that obviously impacts our cash. So we're, completely through the fiscal year's budget on capital, and we're still ahead on cash. So to me, that's a really good indicator. I also noticed that included in this month's payments of bills was $21,000 sent to Ventura County for our share of Ventura's election expenses. So elections are not free for anybody, especially for us. And also of note, our water costs are down $82,000 from last year to date. And we still have another month of rainy months where we will get really small bills, so we'll go well ahead. But that's something, again, completely out of our control, because we're going to water to keep our parks nice, but we haven't had to water as much. So that's a big part of our package. It's $418,000 year-to-date versus $500 last year. So that's finance.
Liaison?
We had 2 liaison meetings. I think, didn't you were on the,
I was on
you
both.
were on both, so you
I
were
was
the
on both,
first one.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, first of all, I'll cover, we met with the school district and the city. I'll comment on the city. We met with LPA again and reviewed primarily, we talked about the public outreach program and how they're going to interact with the public and get input on what they want. And I think they have a lot of good ideas. Happy with the way that's coming along. Our next meeting to begin that process is next Thursday morning. So that's where we are with the city.
Okay, we also had a liaison meeting with the Pleasant Valley School District, which I was a part of. Director Dixon and I met with Pleasant Valley trustees Speakman and Kramer, along with their superintendent, Angelica Ramsey, and the director of business services, Chris Johnston, and of course, Mary. It was a 3-hour meeting. We had a lot of subject to cover. It became very clear during the meeting that the MOUs that we have with various facilities with them reflect conditions that are really obsolete and no longer relevant, and were based on conditions that are no longer the same. So it's going to take some time to rework those. We asked the staff to start working on that, but I think the staff's going to need some direction for us, maybe in the form of a study session, to bring us up to speed on what it is and what the potentials are, and give them some direction on what to do. But it's they're totally understanding of the same concept that we've always operated on, is the kids are there till 3:30, and then there are kids from 3:30 to about 8 p.m., but they're the same kids, and they need to be supported by both agencies as best we can to both sides, all the time. And I think we'll continue to do that.
Personnel. We didn't meet. No, there was no meeting in personnel and policy.
Nothing to report.
Foundation.
I have something to report. We have 3 upcoming fundraisers, starting off next Tuesday at Presto Pasta, and they are going to do both lunch and dinner for us. So I'd like to encourage everybody to mark your calendar, and we can get flyers to you on our social media page, or you can contact me and we'll be more than happy to get you a flyer. Then April 14th, all day at Cronies, and May 14th, I said, right, May? Okay. And we cleared about a little over $1,300 last time we were at Cronies, so it is well worth our time to go back to Cronies. So, and they're very cooperative, and it's a very fun time to be at Cronies.
What's the date on that?
May 14th.
Okay,
I recommended the toasted tuna sandwich. It's really good.
Yes, they have really good food. And Presto Pasta does too. So, and they have specials now. So they have lunch specials. So. Then we are accepting vendor applications for our food truck Fridays, and you can contact us through Megan at the Park District. So any of our food trucks that would like to participate in our food truck Fridays, we'd love to have you join us. We cleared about $175 at the Pizza Rev for our last fundraiser, and the biggest event, as Macy so nicely explained, is we have the upcoming 5th annual Party for the Parks, which is August 17th. So the save the dates should be hitting your mailboxes on Friday or Saturday, and I'm sure that social media will have it hitting at about the same time. And we've already signed our band. caught red-handed, and I talked to one of the band members the other day, and they are just excited to be back with us. So that's really a neat thing. So
Those guys we had last time?
yes.
Oh, yeah, we like those guys.
Yes, yes, yes. I talked to Ellen, and he says, we just can't wait to come again. So, and they're anxious to see the park. They want, because none of them have been out to see what has happened and things. So, the most important thing is we actually do hold meetings, and we held our annual meeting. So we have new officers. I will be chairing. Janet Dixon is the vice chair, and Rod Brown will be returning as the treasurer. So that will be our officers for the year. So
I think it's time for the general manager's report.
Okay, a couple things. I know that Director Dixon talked a little bit about LPA and the community workshop. The first community workshop is set for April 23rd. We will be sending email. It will be going out it's out on our website page. There's a press release. We'll include about 10,000 plus emails on Constant Contact. We'll be posting on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll have flyers in our office. On the TVs that we have, we'll put it on there. We'll be putting some banners up as well as on the marquee. So we'll be getting this information out to anybody, but once again, it's April 23rd, and I believe it's 6:30 to 9 p.m. So LPA will be running that. So that will be the first chance for people to give input. Just some updates on the parks. Springville Dog Park is reopened, which has been one of those projects that seems like it was never going to get done, but it looks fantastic. So if you haven't been out there, stop by there. We mentioned Nancy Bush Park and the playground. Community center restrooms are all finished. The pool is finished. So we're kind of getting down to the wire with other projects that you'll be seeing that'll start in the next month or so. Will be Valley Lindo. That RFP is out, so we'll be getting construction back for that, and then Pitts Ranch. So we're waiting on final engineer designs and getting that back. So those hopefully will be starting in May. Freedom, if you haven't been out there, Freedom, the light poles and such are up, the underground conduit, they're pouring the concrete along the pathways and the dugouts, so all that stuff is now moving now that we've gotten a little bit of reprieve from the rain, so that's looking good. A couple other quick items, legislative updates. One of the ones that CSDA is been having a conversation with, and I recommend looking at, is ACA 1. And what that relates to is the 55% vote for local, whether it's affordable housing or public infrastructure. So right now, in order to pass a special tax or we have to have 2/3 votes. One of the things they're looking at is looking at lowering that to do a 55%, which would be in line where the school districts and other are. So that's one of the big things right now that they're looking at. I'll be on a legislative call April 11th, so I'll have more updates with other legislative items at that time. The other thing that will be coming up this spring/summer, and I think Macy had mentioned it, is that we're partnering with FCDP to do a Mayor of Camarillo Dog Park. So we will be working with them to do something along those lines. So look for information, which will be coming out this spring. And that's all I have at this time.
Did you mention Oak Grove?
Oh, no, I didn't. Thanks for that. Camarillo Grove Park, we are trying to get that open by next week. So some of the items that we've been working with the insurance company on just to try and get reopened, all the fencing is about complete. That should be done either Friday or Monday. So once we have at least the fencing complete, so that way it secures all the property so we don't have dogs on other people's property, we'll be able to open that. And then we're still working with them to get the artificial turf back in and then the playground. So we're going back and forth, but we'll at least be able to get that open sometime, if not the beginning of next week, by the end of next week. So that will at least be open until we can get the other things done. The trails will not be open. There's still much work to be done with that, but the nature center, all the rest of the park will be open. So we'll put that on the website and put banners up as well.
Thank you. Yep. Oral communications, anybody got any?
I do. I want to talk about the parks, how beautiful they look. I'm sorry, but I need
Stole
to
your
also.
thunder.
I
didn't know.
That's okay. That's all right. I went by Nancy Bush today, about 3:45, and I have never seen so many kids at Nancy Bush Park as I saw this time. And that shaded structure is great, Nick. That is absolutely fantastic. If your children have played on playground equipment and burned their little fingers and tushes and things, let me tell you, Nancy Bush Park with the shaded area is just absolutely great. So even my husband said, "Oh my, that looks really nice." So, and the color looks very good. So that was a good pick, Nick. And the parks look wonderful. I haven't been out to Freedom. I will be going out to Freedom when I return from up north. But other than that, I want to thank the staff, as always. You do a fantastic job. Phil, your first time in the bucket, I think, and you did a wonderful job. So appreciate that. So we don't bite. So thank you again, and thanks to Megan for holding the foundation together for us, and she's an integral part of that. So, and like I said, the staff does a wonderful job, and we really appreciate everything you do. So.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on Nancy Bush. Been by there 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 times. Been very busy out there, just like they said. Over the weekend, every one of those 3 table areas, what you call them, I don't know, pavilions. They're not really pavilions, but they're table areas. Yeah. The 3 table areas are all very heavily used over the weekend. Very heavy activity there and stuff. Everything looked good. I'm real excited to see when our new sign will go up out there, so that people drive by will know that it belongs to Pleasant Valley Rec and Park, not the city. So I'm so looking for that. I just had to mention that, of course. Mel Vincent Park, I just want to follow up from last month's meeting. We had some individuals living out there nearby who talked about the restroom, and I did follow up in contact and talk to them and spend some time with them, and they're happy and satisfied now. And they just didn't understand what was going on. They thought the restrooms were going to be open all night, and there'd be all types of trouble and gang people and other people out there all night, you know, and stuff. So once I went through all the stuff with them and everything, and they're perfect, they're happy and content, and I told them they can contact me anytime they have any other follow-up questions, but all that worked out well. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, just to echo what everybody else is saying, I've had these rave reviews on Nancy Bush Park. Everybody seems to love it. I've also had a couple of nice comments about the Springville Dog Park, and people really happy that's reopened. And so congratulations to the staff on both of those. I'd like to congratulate all of us for, based on an experience I've recently had. In the 30 years I've lived here, I've never felt the need to go to the city council to present to them from that podium down there. And this last couple of weeks I've been there twice. And the way that the experience of presenting to the city council is a lot different than I think it is than presenting to here. Here we listen respectfully, we don't comment, we hear what they have to say, we take it into consideration for future discussion, which is the way it should be. The city council, if they don't like what you're saying, they call you out on it, and which is fine when you're in a debate. But when you are limited to 3 minutes to comment on what you have to say, and they have no limits on how much time they have to say, and you have no ability to respond back to them, I think it creates an uncomfortable situation. They make a point of saying that they want everyone to be comfortable there, but it's not actually a comfortable situation. They are also extremely strict about the 3-minute thing. It's the 3 minutes is when it's up, you are cut off, and I appreciated Director Kelly giving people some little bit of leeway on their time so they could complete their thought, and if it was something that the board really needed to hear, to let them continue to go on further to fully explain their point. So, congratulations to us. And lastly, the city of Camarillo apparently is going to have an elected mayor of the dog park, but we are not going to have an elected mayor of the city. That's my last comment.
That's going once.
Unfortunately, you've saved it. No, we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not?
No, we're not done yet.
Oh,
we're
I'm
not
sorry.
done yet.
I didn't say we were done.
Yeah, I know you weren't. I know you're anxious to get out, and I get the hint.
No, I wasn't. I didn't.
I get the
think
hint.
so.
I have no legal advice for anyone.
I thought you.
I only have disc-related business.
I'm sorry.
We had Finance Committee on March 20th where Phil rolled out the Power Alliance thing to Mike and I, and did the financials. We're at the Water Aquatic Center reopening March 23rd. I've never seen a room full of people with such big smiles. It was really cool. The pool just looks fantastic. The new slide is just an e-ticket ride. I mean, I didn't wear my swimsuit, as Megan begged me multiple times to do, but I tell you, if I would have had it on, I would have done that slide. It looked like a lot of fun. It was really fun. Mike and I watched the districting meeting from home, and as you may or may not know, they decided to go with 5 different districts and five council people. With 13,000 people in each district, and you can go online at the city website and create your own maps and submit them. It's a really detailed process. We also had the liaison with the Pleasant Valley School District on the 28th, and then on the 29th, I went with the Cayugas Water District staff and other water district staff down to see Diamond Valley Lake in Riverside County. And Diamond Valley Lake is the largest reservoir in Southern California. It holds 810,000 acre-feet of water, which is like 810,000 football fields a foot deep in water. It's a really massive structure with really amazing facilities around it and safety issues and all that. It actually it takes water from the State Water Project and sends it to San Diego. You know, few people know, like Mike knows because he grew up in San Diego, but the Colorado River water is very low quality. In fact, it isn't healthy to drink. So it needs to be mixed, and that's, you know, one of the reasons Carlsbad built a desal plant, is they needed super clean water to mix with the super salty water coming out of the Colorado River. So this is a really important resource for them, because should the State Water Project have an earthquake or some other failure, they would have essentially 6 months worth of water for the southern half of the state stored in reserve in this reservoir. So it's a really important reservoir, and it's only 15 feet away from being full. It's really was really interesting. They say right now it's filling at 500 cubic feet per second, and when it's empty, it fills at 750 cubic feet per second, because when it's empty, the water has a bigger rush downhill, whereas now it's 400 feet deep, so the water doesn't come in quite as fast. But it's still filling at about a foot a week, and it'll be filled in a couple of months completely to the top, which hasn't happened since they filled it in the first place. So it's another part of the water system, and really a really important part. The Springville Park renovations, they are really outstanding. I've been by a few times since it's opened and talked to the users. Everybody likes that DG path. The opportunity to not have to walk on wet grass is something they really like. John Fletcher, if you were here tonight, I could tell you that your irrigation system is working really well, because I can tell already that the dispersion of water is really smooth and really consistent, and the grass there is growing really well as a result, and will continue to. It's not something simple, but the new design is clearly doing the job. The Nancy Bush Park, I actually had one of my friends who lives nearby complain to me about how many people are using Nancy Bush Park, and I reminded him that it's new and everybody's excited about the stuff, and that you know, that will die down after a while. But it truly is unique, and I never, you know, I'm always nervous when staff suggests us doing something that we haven't paid for before, and it's, you know, a lot of money. But that shade structure was a really smart idea. I'm sure that when we do future renovations of parks, we're going to keep doing that. It's going to make the equipment last a lot longer to have that UV off of the plastic on those things and make it work a lot better for the kids. The Camarillo Grove Park reopening after so much fire damage, it's really impressive. That park was really a mess. It was between the fire damage and the water running down that steep hill and the weeds growing like crazy. To be able to have that thing open in a week is really impressive. And Bob, I want to thank you, Eric, Mary, the job you guys have done getting us back open. Super impressive. Super impressive. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. There's so much process, like the thing Phil's been working on. There's so many things going on all the time, and to have the fires and all that rain, it's a huge load. And we lost Matt Parker, who was one of our key guys. So thank you, all of you. So that's all I have. Now you can hammer the gavel.
Wait a minute, I'm going to wait. All right. Okay, we've cleared the deck, right? All right. This meeting's adjourned.